What are things over time that you feel have actually reduced your money stress? What have you done that obviously some of those alternative investments have increased money stress, but in the long run, you've had some success now? What lowered your money stress?
Yeah, I know it's a strange answer, right? But not living to paycheck and actually having money is a major reason not to be too stressed out. So, I mean, I look at my relationship now with my wife and with my family and my kids, and even my friends and extended family. Life now is far easier than what it used to be because money is no longer such a stress for us. We spend more today than we did years ago because we allowed ourselves to get into that position. But for so many years, particularly when I was first married to my wife, we just had our third child, life had suddenly started to get quite expensive, and we found ourselves constantly bickering about money. And there was a feeling from my side that there was never enough, and I guess from my wife's side as well. You know, she wanted more things that we didn't have the money for, and so this would create friction. Oh, we need a new fridge. Well, we don't have money for that fridge. Well, we need the fridge now to go and work harder and work overtime. Oh, but I don't want you to go and work overtime. You know, these sort of discussions that you would have, and I say discussions loosely in some way. Once you get to a situation where you get on top of this stuff, and that's one of the great things about the FIRE movement and chasing financial independence, is that you don't have to wait until you're financially independent to have this level of freedom with money. This comes from the very first 10% of the journey, just to get yourself into a position where you're not living paycheck to paycheck, when you're not in a situation when you're running out of money in your bank account each month and you're worrying about making sure you've got enough money to pay the mortgage and the bills. Even getting to that situation is a huge accomplishment, and you're already ahead of 90% of society. I often find it strange, like in Ireland, it's typically you're paid at the end of the month, and you'll often hear like the very well-off radio DJ on the radio complaining that, yay, it's payday today. So everybody seems to be in this cycle of not having enough money. So if we can get on top of that, immediately that makes a huge difference. Even having a small savings buffer of say 5 or 10,000 euros makes a difference, so that when that fridge does break down, your conversation with your wife is, oh, that's okay, we've got a rainy day fund to cover that. And that changes everything. So to answer your question about stress with money and stress is a massive thing. And it was always something which I identified my own stress levels with. To probably give you a good example, yesterday my wife went to visit an old friend she hadn't seen in a few years. And she said, oh, do you mind just pulling into that shop? I'm just going to pick up a voucher. And I didn't say anything. I bit my tongue. And she came out and she said, I got the voucher. And I couldn't help myself. I said, oh yeah, how much did you get? She said, 50 euro. And I was like, what? Like, she hardly knows this person. 50 euro. And like in my mind, I was about to say something. I said, no, there's no reason to say anything. Like, fine. She spent a little bit more than I would have spent. That's fine. But it ultimately doesn't matter, right? And that's because we allowed ourselves to get to that position. And obviously it's a position of privilege, and I'm exceptionally grateful for that. But it's contrast to how we used to be, where that may have led to an argument or a disagreement or a misunderstanding because we were on two different paths when it came to money. So certainly from that point of view, money has a different stress. We're trying, this sounds strange, we're trying to be a little bit more wasteful with money because we now value time freedom a little bit more, convenience a little bit more. So we're trying to refrain and relearn how we've spent money, especially after 5, 6, 7 years of saving consistently so hard and budgeting so hard. We're allowing ourselves to live a little bit more freely. But at the time, we really, we controlled money a lot more, and we felt like we were in a lot more control of our money to allow us to get to this position.